$50,000. That's your new salary. And within the same month that first paycheck hits your account, you sign the paperwork for a car you couldn't have justified 3 months ago. Nobody pressured you. Not one person talked you into it. It just suddenly felt reasonable. Here's the part that should bother you. You don't actually feel richer. If anything, you feel more stretched than you did on your old salary. And if someone asked where all the extra money went, you probably couldn't give them a clear answer. This isn't a lack of discipline. It's a well-documented, predictable pattern. And by the time you watch this video to the end, you'll know exactly what happened inside your brain. And more importantly, how to stop it from happening again. Let's start with something economists call lifestyle creep. Back in the 1990s, researchers at Princeton studied what happens when people's incomes go up. What they found was surprisingly mechanical. As income rises, spending rises right alongside it. Not eventually, almost immediately. They tracked households across different income levels and found that a large share of every extra dollar earned was absorbed into higher spending within the very same year. Not saved, not invested, just absorbed. The interesting part is that most people aren't consciously deciding to spend more. What they see as normal just quietly changes. The car that seemed perfectly okay when you earned $30,000 suddenly feels like something you've outgrown at 50. The apartment you were happy with now feels a little too small, a little too old, a little beneath where you think you should be. Nothing about your life has actually changed except one number on your payslip. But your brain has quietly reclassified everything around you as slightly inadequate. And it happens much faster than most people think. Later studies looking at lottery winners and people who received large inheritances found the same pattern. Their expectations reset in a matter of weeks, not years. It doesn't take a decade of earning more for your baseline to change. Sometimes it only takes a few paychecks before your old lifestyle starts to feel like a life you've outgrown, even though your actual needs haven't changed at all. That's the first part. But lifestyle creep by itself doesn't explain why so many people end up carrying more debt after they get a raise. For that, you have to look at the other side of the transaction, the side that's been waiting for your income to increase. Here's something most people never think about. Lenders don't wait for you to ask for more credit. They watch for it. As your income rises, even before you've updated your details with a single bank, your spending habits begin to change, and credit algorithms notice. Credit card companies combine income estimates, spending patterns, and information from the credit bureaus to decide whether you're ready for a higher limit. Then one day, a notification appears. Good news! Your credit limit has increased to $10,000. It feels like a reward, but it isn't. That number is a hypothesis. The bank is testing whether you'll use it, and that's where the psychology becomes dangerous. A higher credit limit doesn't feel like extra debt waiting to happen. It feels like proof that you're doing well. Economists sometimes describe this as the qualification effect. The moment you qualify for more credit, your brain starts treating that access as evidence that you're financially safer than you really are. But qualification isn't safety. It's exposure. And it doesn't stop with credit cards. The same logic shows up with car loans and even with landlords. A dealership pulls your file, sees your higher income and your improved credit score, and instantly recalculates what you qualify for. Not what you can comfortably afford, the maximum the numbers will allow. And nobody sitting in that finance office is going to lean over and suggest the cheaper model. The system is designed to offer you the ceiling, and the ceiling has a strange way of feeling like an achievement, when in reality, it may be your biggest financial risk. This is where the third part comes in, and it's the part that explains why even smart, careful people fall into this exact trap. Behavioral economists have a term for it. It is referred to as mental accounting. The idea is not a complex one. Even though every dollar has the same value, your brain doesn't treat every dollar the same. Instead, it sorts money into different mental groups. Some money feels like it's meant to be saved. Some feels off limits, and some feels perfectly safe to spend. Here's the problem. The moment you get a raise, your brain often files that extra income into the safe to leverage category almost instantly. Your old income feels earned, careful, spoken for, but the new income feels different. It feels like breathing room, like extra capacity. And that's when the thinking changes. That $20,000 raise doesn't register as I'm earning $20,000 more a year. Instead, it becomes I can probably handle a $500 car payment. I can finally move into that bigger apartment. The raise isn't experienced as income. It's experienced as permission. And permission is dangerous because permission never appears on your budget. Nobody writes the word permission as a monthly expense. Instead, it quietly authorizes one decision after another. Each choice on its own feels reasonable. None of them feels reckless. But together, they create exactly the spiral we're talking about.
Let's make this real with some numbers, because this is where the pattern stops being theory and starts becoming expensive. Picture someone earning $60,000 a year. They get promoted and start earning $85,000. Within 4 months, here's what changes. They upgrade their car. That's another $380 a month. Their credit limit increases, so they finance new furniture. Now they're paying another $210 a month. Then they move into a slightly bigger apartment. That adds another $400 a month. Altogether, they've taken on almost $1,000 a month in new fixed payments. At first, that doesn't sound unreasonable. After all, they just got a $25,000 raise.
But here's what happens when you look at the numbers after tax. That raise adds roughly $1,400 to their monthly income. Almost 70% of it is already gone. Before they've bought groceries, before they've filled the car with fuel, before they've saved a single dollar. They're earning more money than ever, but they have less financial breathing room than they had before the promotion. Now, 2 years later, the picture doesn't get better. It gets worse. Those payments don't just sit there. Some of them grow. The furniture balance, especially, keeps collecting interest. The $210 monthly payment slowly becomes $260, then $290. The minimum payments barely touch the original balance. And then another raise comes along. The cycle begins again, because nothing about the underlying pattern has changed. That's the part most people miss. They're not one terrible financial decision away from it. They're several perfectly reasonable decisions away from it. And that's exactly why it's so difficult to recognize while you're living through it. This is the debt-to-income spiral. Your income goes up, your fixed obligations rise even faster, and the gap between the two, the part that was supposed to become savings, quietly disappears. But here's the interesting part. Not everyone falls into this trap. And the people who don't reveal exactly where the exit is. Some people get a raise and change almost nothing for the next 6 to 12 months. Not because they have extraordinary self-control, because they made one decision before the raise ever arrived. They created a rule. Every increase in income gets divided automatically before it ever reaches their everyday spending account. So before the raise has a chance to feel like extra money, it's already been given a job. Some of it goes to savings, some goes to investing. Some might go toward paying down debt. By the time the money reaches their current account, there's no longer a big pile of extra cash waiting to be spent. Some people never even see the full amount. Part of every pay rise is redirected into a separate account the moment it's paid. Before the rent, before the groceries, before anything else. To their day-to-day brain, the raise feels smaller than it really is. And that's exactly the point. You can't mentally label money as permission to spend if you never experience it that way in the first place. That's the real difference. It's not stronger discipline. It's removing the moment where lifestyle creep and mental accounting get the chance to take over. So think back to the beginning. The $50,000 salary, the new car just a few weeks later.
That wasn't simply a personal failure. It was 3 systems working exactly as they were expected to. Your brain quietly reset what normal looked like. A lender treated your higher income as an invitation to borrow more. And mental accounting turned a number on a payslip into permission to spend. The good news is this. Once you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt it. The next time your income goes up, whether it's a raise, a bonus, or a new client, the question isn't, what can I afford now? It's, where does this money go before my brain has the chance to reclassify it? Because the raise was never the problem. The 3 weeks after it were.